Good morning children. I welcome you all to the next video of class 11 business studies. We are going to start with the third chapter, that is private, public and global enterprises in this video. So we are going to start with forms or types of public sector enterprises. Okay. Public sector organizations are formed in three different forms: departmental undertaking, then public corporation or statutory corporation, then government companies. So first we are going to talk about departmental undertakings. Okay, what are departmental undertakings? This is the oldest form of public sector enterprise. Okay, the departmental undertaking is considered as one of the departments of government. It has no separate existence than government. Its function under the overall control of one ministry or department of government. For example, railway, defense, post and telegram, broadcasting, telephone services, etc. Now we are going to talk about the features of departmental undertaking. Okay, so the first feature is that is they operate under the control of one of the ministries of central or state government. Okay, then they are a part of government only. There is no separate entity. They are financed from the annual budgets of the government. The revenues of departmental undertaking are deposited in the treasury of government only. Then the staff of the departmental undertaking are civil servants and are recruited and compensated as per the rules of civil servants. Then they are under the direct control of departmental heads who is accountable to the concerned minister. They can be sued in the same manner as one can file a suit against the government also. Okay. Now we have discussed about departmental undertaking. What is that? What are its features? Then we move ahead to the merits. So first merit is easy formation. Okay. So it is very easy to form a departmental undertaking as no registration is compulsory. Okay. Then second, effective control. The control on departmental undertaking is very effective as it is a direct and centralized one. Then third is optimum utilization of funds. What does that mean? That there is proper utilization of funds as financial matters are subject to ministerial sanctions, budgets, accounting and audit control. Then we move on to the next one, that is accountability. There is a direct parliamentary control. The performance of departmental undertakings can be discussed in parliament also. So there is a public accountability. Then next is public revenue. What does that mean? The revenue of departmental undertaking is deposited in the treasury of the government. So these undertakings help to increase the government revenue also. Okay. Then next is secrecy. What does that mean? That the activities performed of the government or departmental undertakings can be highly secret as government can avoid disclosure on the plea of public interest. Due to secrecy, only the most sensitive areas, that is defense, is operating as a departmental undertaking. Okay. But there are some demerits for it also. So what are the demerits we are going to discuss? First is inflexibility. The departmental undertaking works under strict parliamentary control. There is too much interference of ministers and top officials. It is treated as one of the government offices. This reduces the flexibility and efficiency of the undertaking. Then second is lack of motivation. The departmental undertakings have no power to utilize their revenue as these are deposited in the treasury. There is no incentive to maximize profits. There is no direct relation between the efforts and rewards. Generally, promotions are on the basis of seniority and not on the basis of efforts. So, employees are not motivated to perform their best ability. Okay. Then we move ahead to the next one, that is lack of financial autonomy. The departmental undertaking cannot plan long-term investment projects as they are subject to budgetary control of government. So they are not allowed to use their own revenue freely, as these have to be deposited in the treasury also. So it has no independence or freedom of utilizing the funds in their own way. Then the fourth one is inefficient management. What does that mean? That the departmental undertakings are managed by the government officials. So these officials are overburdened with the paperwork. They spend maximum time to answer the queries from parliament or ministry. They can be transferred anytime. As a result, they have less sense of responsibility and efficiency also. Then the last one is red tapeism and bureaucracy. What does that mean? That red tapeism and bureaucracy refers to delay in decisions due to too many formalities. So the decisions in the departmental undertaking are delayed due to administrative formalities, paperwork or procedures. Innovations or bold approach, immediate action, which are so essential for the growth of the enterprise, have no place in the departmental undertaking. Now we are going to talk about the suitability. So the departmental undertakings are suitable in the following cases: where utmost secrecy is required, like defense; where government control is necessary, like broadcasting; where huge investment is involved, like aircraft, iron, steel; and undertaking is a source of revenue, that is railways. We are going to discuss through one case study also. Indian Railway is a part of Railway Ministry. It is organized, financed and controlled by Railway Ministry. The finances are allocated from government treasury, and whatever revenue it earns is deposited to government treasury only. It is treated as a part of government, and even the appointment, recruitment or selection of the employees is done in the same way as that of a civil servants. Now, they are asking, name the type of public sector enterprise railway is considered as. It is considered as a departmental undertaking. I have given you the example when we were talking about departmental undertaking, that railway is one of the example of departmental undertaking. Then second, what they are asking, what is the status of employees working in railway? So we have already discussed that they are considered as civil servants or government employees, because it is under departmental undertaking. Then next, what are they asking? That how does it get its finance? So it get its finance also from government treasury. All the income is being deposited in treasury, and whatever the finance we are getting, that also we are getting from the treasury itself. Then next they are asking you, what does it do with its revenue? So whatever revenue is generated, whatever income is generated, it is deposited in the government treasury itself. So this we have talked about departmental undertaking. What is departmental undertaking? Then about its features also we have discussed. Then about its merits also we have discussed all the merits. Then we have discussed about its demerits also, what are the limitations of departmental undertaking. Then we have talked about the suitability also, that what are the departments which are suitable when we are talking about departmental undertaking. So children, you are going to prepare the notes regarding departmental undertaking. In the next video, we are going to start with the second topic of types of public sector enterprises, that is public corporation or statutory corporation. And up till then, you take care and prepare notes. Goodbye children.